Good evening. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for attending our public hearing this evening. My name is Helen Anthony. I'm the chair of the Committee on Finance, and I'm calling to order our public hearing on Tuesday, May 7th, 2024 at 5:35 p.m. So I just want to make sure that everyone who would like to speak has signed one of our sheets on this table up front. Has everyone done that? Wonderful. Okay. So I am going to waive the readings of items 1 through 4. And this is, I'm waiving the readings there, 1 through 5. These are all our budget ordinances, and I'm just waiving the reading because it's a lot of words, and these are all budget related. And so I am going to waive the reading and open the public hearing. I would ask that everyone try to keep their remarks brief. I appreciate the fact we've received a lot of written testimony, which we will all be looking at, and it will be distributed to all the council so that they also can look at it. So with that, I would like to have the clerk bring up the lists. Okay, thank you. And before we begin, I would just like to recognize that we have all our committee members are here. We have Councilor Taylor, Councilor Graves, Councilor Sanchez, Councilor Anderbaugh. We also have with us this evening the Council President Miller. We have our Councilor Royas is here, Councilor Peterson, and also Councilor Vargas. So I want to thank my fellow councilors for attending our committee meeting. So with that, I would like to start with Ronald Koya. If you would be so kind as to state your name and address, I'd appreciate it for the record, and then please proceed.
Absolutely. My name is Ronald Koya. My address is 410 South Main Street, Providence, Rhode Island. Good evening, Madam President, Madam Chairwoman, and members of the City Council. I will be brief in my comments. My name is Ronald Koya, and I am the Business Manager and Secretary Treasurer of Local Union 1033, where I am proud to represent about 1,600 members who work for the City of Providence and the Providence School Department. We represent the men and women who perform such services.
Could you please just speak right a little more slowly and into the speaker so people can hear you?
Sure. We represent the workers who perform such services as cleaning and maintaining our parks and roads, providing safe and clean drinking water to our citizens, issuing marriage certificates and other licenses, ensuring that our children make it safely to school, and a wide range of other workers who provide critical services that our citizens rely upon every day. We make sure that our city works as it should, day in and day out. I stand before you this evening to indicate our support for the mayor's proposed budget. The budget is funded to make certain that the good work that our members do and our citizens expect and deserve will continue through the next fiscal year. It provides for the full funding of our wages and benefits, including the previously negotiated contractual cost of living adjustment that is due on July 1st. Importantly, it also provides for the full annual required contribution to the employees' retirement system, something that will help ensure that our pensions are there when we retire. Furthermore, the budget provides for no reduction in 1033 positions, which helps to make sure that all city services will continue to be provided at a high level. In fact, one enhancement to the staffing levels is the addition of another crew within the sewer division of the Department of Public Works to help deal with the many unprecedented weather events that we have experienced as of late. In short, the members of Local 1033 stand in support of the mayor's proposed budget as it provides security and stability for the people who work hard every day to make sure that the city services that are provided safely, with quality and efficiency. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Next, I'd like to call Cheryl Space. Welcome.
Thank you. Sorry.
That's all right. We'd like to hear you loud and clear.
All
If
right.
you just would state your name and address.
Yes, my name is Cheryl Space, 708 Hope Street. So good afternoon to the honorable members of the Finance Committee. I'm Cheryl Space. I am the Library Director of the Community Libraries of Providence. Thank you for your time and for hearing my testimony. And I would like to thank all members of the City Council who are here for your support of our libraries. I am here tonight specifically to express my gratitude and to communicate the importance of the $255,000 increase for the library in Mayor Smiley's proposed FY25 budget. This increase in city funding is the first we've received in 7 years, since fiscal year 18. Our primary source of funding is the aid from the City of Providence, which provides 67% of our operating support. CLPVD receives 26 payments from the city annually, which corresponds to our biweekly payroll. And because so much of our funding is from the city, it pays for essential services, like the staff who provide the programs, maintain our collections, and keep the libraries open in our 9 neighborhood libraries. This funding also pays for essential repairs, maintenance, and upgrades to the library buildings, 8 of which we lease from the city but maintain on our own. The $255,000 will allow the community libraries to, first, retain the staffing levels to keep Mount Pleasant, Rochambeau, and Knight Memorial Libraries open the additional hours the ARPA funding allowed, which includes 4 evenings a week and full hours on Saturdays. Second, we can retain the new positions added with the ARPA funding, the community support specialist at the Knight Memorial Library who helps people apply for benefits, access mental health and other wellness services, locate a safe place to spend the night, and identify after-school and other programs for their children, as well as our Makerspace coordinator and program clerks who bring the power of Makerspace innovation and exploration to older teens and adults, building on the firm foundation of the city's investment in PVD Young Makers over many years. Third, this will support small salary increases to make CLPVD's wages more competitive with other Rhode Island libraries and to create greater economic security for our staff. As we head into the summer, our libraries will be buzzing nonstop, filled with youth participating in over 400 summer learning programs, in addition to serving nearly 800 youth each week through our mobile library, which will operate in parks, partnering with the Summer Meals Program and serving youth in the recreation camps. I ask you for your support in passing this increase in municipal aid for the community libraries. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jordan Day.
I thought I was going to have to introduce myself, but I don't think I really have to. Good evening, honorable members of the Finance Committee. For those who don't know me, my name is Jordan Day, and I currently serve as the board president to the Community Libraries of Providence. First, I want to thank everyone who was actually able to join us at our Giving and Sharing breakfast this morning. It was a hoot and a half, and I gave welcoming remarks there. Second round of remarks for tonight. Second, I'm here to testify in support of the FY25 budget proposal that would increase funding for the community libraries of Providence by $255,000 for a total of $4.25 million in aid. The City of Providence and the State of Rhode Island play an important role in funding the services that we provide in addition to all of our donors. CLBVD has been a victor in Providence since our establishment about 15 years ago. We are thankful for every ounce of support we get to keep the library system running and the people who keep us going. You may not know this, but we operate the state's largest library system and the city's second largest public education institution. In the past 15 years, we have experienced organizational growth and leadership changes while navigating a global pandemic and national attacks on access to literature. We collaborate with the city in various ways. We supported residents in getting tested and vaccinated for COVID-19 during the height of the global pandemic. We provide free meeting room space to help community groups thrive, like the planning department as it goes through its comprehensive planning process. We also serve as official heating and cooling centers for the city. And this list doesn't include any of our work with other city departments and our continued makerspace programming. Lastly, I want to be sure to share a few statistics about what CLPVD did in 2023 alone. We welcomed 423,543 Providence residents to our 9 libraries. We increased programming on average to about 100 events per week, which is 11 to 12 events per library, which with the number of family programming tripling and the attendance doubling in that category in totals over previous years. We held more outreach programming off-site in places such as parks, schools, and community centers, accounting for 5% of our total events, but a full 11% of our attendance. And we continue to expand our Spanish and bilingual programming. These events now account for 16% of our events and 12% of our attendance. I could honestly go on. I have 3 more facts. I'm gonna pause there. But one thing I wanted to highlight is that we do act as a third space where everyone can and feels welcome. Statewide, the community libraries of Providence ranked 3rd for the total number of book checkouts and 2nd for the children and teen checkouts. I was honored to be elected as board president this past October, and I am excited to continue working with the City Council, Mayor Smiley, and the city's finance team to figure out how to sustain our operations to come. I strongly urge you to support this increased municipal aid to CLPVD so that we can continue all this work and then some. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, we'll have John Wilner.
My name is John Wilner, address 17 Priscilla Avenue, here to speak on behalf of the Providence Noise Project in support of Mayor Smiley's budget, specifically the allocation for what he calls acoustic cameras, what we refer to as noise cameras. We run a community noise survey, and 93% of the residents who have participated in it have told us that they are exposed to vehicle noise, which makes it the single most prevalent source of noise in the city. Noise cameras are similar in most aspects to both red light cameras and speed cameras, which the city already has, and they are far less intrusive, noise cameras are, than the flock cameras that the City Council approved under Mayor Jorge El Orza. Like speed cameras and red light cameras, noise cameras are only triggered in the presence of excessive and illegal behavior. In other words, they're dormant until the sensors pick up an illegal level of sound, and that's what triggers them. So in the absence of excessive sound, they don't do anything. And in the absence of noise cameras, we'll have the status quo continue, which is that a relatively small number of individuals will manage to disrupt the community every day, night and day, disrupt people's sleep, their health, and well-being throughout the city. The one other advantage of noise cameras is that they don't require the hiring of additional police officers or diverting police officers from their current enforcement duties. And so in this way, they're a very cost-effective way to address excessive vehicle noise, and they will actually save the city money. And there have been concerns that there would be biased enforcement of the noise ordinance having to do with vehicle noise, and noise cameras actually alleviate that problem because, again, they, like red light cameras and speed cameras, They are only triggered by the decibel level of the vehicle, so you don't get the potential for bias having to do with the driver's appearance, the type of vehicle that he or she may be driving, the type of noise that's being made, sound, music, whatever it is. It's purely based on what the sensors pick up in terms of decibels. So we urge you to pass the budget, including the allocation for acoustic or noise cameras. Thank you very much.
Mr. Wilner, may I just ask you one quick question and
Yes, ma'am.
follow up? Did you say you did a noise survey? How many people did you have participating in that?
As of right now, it's an ongoing survey. People can
Yes.
fill it out anytime, and over 600 at this point.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And of course, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to give me a little signal. Yes, yes, Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can I ask a question?
Yes.
You said 600, what organization?
It's the Providence Noise Project.
Providence Noise Project?
Yeah.
All right. Have you issued a report already?
A report on the community survey.
Yeah?
We are in the process of turning the data into graphs and other visualizations, but I'm happy to send you any information you want to know about the community noise survey.
Great, thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Anthony Centuri. And while Anthony is coming up, I'd just like to recommend that we are joined by Pro Tem Pichardo and Councilor Gonsalves. Thank you so much.
So noted.
Thank you.
Good
Mr.
evening, everyone.
Centuri.
Anthony Santuri, 180 Pine Street in Providence. I'd like to also thank everyone for their commitment to our city and for always allowing your constituents and business owners to express theirs. I am here in support of the budget spending. As a business owner, I look at our capital city. We want it to be a destination city. We want it to be a world-class city. Well, that requires a building block budget. And I think this budget is addressing those issues to get us there and continue to maintain us there. One of the most important for me is a commitment to public safety. By committing to public safety to our first responders in an array of ways, hiring more people, training more people, letting them understand the fabric of this community. That is a major part of what we and any other destination world-class city would need. A commitment to infrastructure, as always. Everything I'm saying here I know we're all well aware of, but when you come into a new city and you're not from this city and you don't know all the great things about this city, you might just see the infrastructure part as the first showcase for you. Also, a commitment in this budget to services, city services, and staffing of city services. Trash removal is paramount to the people who live and work here. I'd like to express also that I have been fortunate enough recently in the past few years to open 2 other businesses in Massachusetts, and one of the greatest things that's happened there was the outreach from the Economic Development Department and the Economic Development Director directly to me, inviting me, telling me that they'd been to Providence to see this great thing in our great city, and they think this great thing, and there's a lot of great things and a lot of great businesses, should come there. And I think that's a testament to all of us. They bring you in, they talk to you, they tell you about their city, they help you navigate. So for someone like me who's been here a very long time, I know how to navigate my city. I know how to navigate licenses. But going to a new town, which we would be for someone else, without someone having any prior experience at all, I think it's incumbent upon us and an economic development department or others to make it as easy and seamless and welcoming as possible. And I know Providence can do that. And I applaud everyone here for all the efforts. So I do thank you all once again, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Okay, we have Candace, is it Johnson? I'm so sorry, come right up. If you wouldn't mind stating your name and address for the record, that would be great, thank you.
My name is Candace Jondro, representing Family Service of Rhode Island at 55 Hope Street. Thank you all very much for the opportunity to speak in front of you tonight. I'll keep my comments brief, understanding that you have a robust agenda. Again, my name is Candace Jondro, and I am a Vice President at Family Service of Rhode Island. FSRI is a health and human service organization with the mission to advance equity, hope, and opportunity in our communities. And as part of my role, I oversee FSRI's victim service programs. This includes several formal Go-Team partnerships with law enforcement agencies across the state. And our longest standing and most successful, now 20 years active, is our Go-Team partnership with the Providence Police Department. Through this partnership, close to 800 victims and witnesses of violent crime and traumatic events, predominantly children, youth, and families, and their caregivers across the city receive immediate on-scene crisis intervention and stabilization, safety planning, and triage every year. This support is provided by Family Service of Rhode Island's trauma expert social work staff, who ride along with officers in Providence on patrol. These same staff also provide follow-up services, including expanded access to a full array of social services available both in-house and through community partnerships. They also provide assistance navigating the highly complex criminal justice process and try to help those victims who elect to stay engaged over time in the criminal justice process, because we know that it can be very fatiguing and folks can unfortunately putter out before they get their day in court. So ultimately, our Go-Team partnership, and the reason I'm talking about it today is because the mayor has included it in the budget, and we're so very grateful for that. Because ultimately, our Go-Team partnership with the Providence Police serves to, one, increase trust and positive relationships between law enforcement and community members. We have members of the Providence command staff, the current and past chiefs, share little nuggets of wisdom with us that we help soften the badge, perhaps in homes where there have been difficulties between law enforcement and the family before. And also perhaps if we arrive on scene and there was an act of community violence, oftentimes the patrol folks will look at us to build a bit of a bridge between the folks in the neighborhood and law enforcement. We also serve to engage more victims in the criminal justice process, make sure they understand their rights. Over time, we'd like to think we play a role in reducing repeat calls to the same households, particularly those dealing with domestic or interpersonal violence. The idea is we get in there and offer services and supports to try and mitigate things like retribution, things like repeat re-victimization, and also to help young youth who may be a bit behavioral in the moment, to try and help law enforcement maybe perceive that as a trauma response as opposed to an oppositional youth. So we do work to reduce juvenile justice involvement. It costs about $600,000 to fully operate the Providence Go-Team every year. This covers co-location at headquarters, technology, which is really just a small laptop that's lightweight that our staff can literally have with them in the patrol car and find resources for victims and do work while they're sitting at post. The ride-alongs I'm speaking of, the on-scene response. We also provide 24/7, 365 on-call availability, English, Spanish interpretation. We offer basic needs assistance, so if you have folks fleeing from a domestic violence situation, we can provide baby care items, clothing for victims. We can provide food, safety items that we would even consider to be short-term emergency hotel stays for folks who can't stay safely at home, or disposable cell phones. We also link young people to evidence-based trauma treatment. And I could go on and on and on, but I won't do that. Suffice it to say, there really is so much more that the Go-Team does. We greatly appreciate the mayor including us in his FY25 budget. We appreciate all of you for listening and for supporting us as well over the years. We're still working to fill a bit of a shortfall in our budget for the coming year. However, we are very assertively seeking private fundraising, any opportunity we can, and with the mayor and your support, along with that of Colonel Chief Perez, who has been digging in with his own police department budget to find a few nickels and dimes for us, we will continue to show up for any and all of you every time you need us. So thank you so much.
We appreciate your service. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you.
Yes, Councilor Sanchez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you so much for your presentation and all the work that your organization does in collaboration with the police department. Just a quick question, broadly speaking, what's your shortfall looking like on your end?
It's about 200,000 of the 600 total that we need. Now, we have some active asks out. They're just not secured yet, so I'm not going to give anyone false confidence that we've filled that hole just yet. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Counselor Vargas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. How many people do you have in your staff and your department? Like,
How many people do we have on our staff for the Providence Go team? I have a portion of a director. I have half a program manager. I have 3 full-time liaisons. I have 1 part-time liaison. Those folks combined plus 1 more volunteer and serve on call. And I have a full-time follow-up advocate only, whom works daylight hours, whereas the others predominantly work evenings and weekends. And they do a lot of phone work, connection to community service, and accompanying folks to court, to law enforcement interviews and forensic exams.
so you got around 8 people or 10 people? Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to be confusing. I have 3 full-time, plus a half-time person, plus another full-time person, plus a smidge of someone. I have 5.5 people. Those same people volunteer to serve on call, where they're activated as needed after hours, evenings, weekends, holidays, and they come to the city if they don't live in the city as needed. But they're not duplicate staff.
So you're looking for volunteers. Is anybody like to work as a volunteer?
No, because you need pretty significant training, and particularly around safety, awareness of the environment, laws as it relates to being present. We don't go anywhere without law enforcement already on scene or have called the scene safe. So we invite our current staff to volunteer for on-call shifts. Now, they do get a small stipend just for being on call because they can't drink, they can't go to Boston for dinner for the evening. But they do volunteer 24/7, week-long on-call shifts, and that's with the existing team who have received extensive training.
So how many people goes out with the cruiser, with the police officer around in the neighborhood?
Typically, 1 to 2 at a time. Sometimes we have 2 on at the same time on second shift. But between all the districts and the neighborhoods, they would be in different areas of the city if we had 2 on at the same time.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have Peter Chung.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Peter Chung, resident 116 Only Street. Members of City Council, I'm here today to really speak to you on the education budget. I'm testifying to emphasize the need to prioritize increased investments in the Providence schools city budget. It is important to stress that the current state takeover PPSD should not overshadow the shared responsibility of both the city and the state to adequately fund our city schools. While state funding has seen an increase, it is disheartening to note that the city's funding has remained stagnant. It is essential that this pattern changes substantially to ensure the appropriate education funding is in place to support our school districts. My child's school is already feeling the impact of underfunded schools. In the coming school year, Dr. Martin Luther King Elementary School on Camp Street will be losing up to 11 positions, including intervention specialists, teaching aides, and social workers. In a time when we are facing a mental health crisis, especially among K-12 students, these budget allocations are not responding to the direct needs of our students. This year presents a pivotal opportunity for the city to demonstrate its strong commitment to its students and families by making education one of its primary policy priorities. Research consistently demonstrates the profound societal benefits of adequately funding schools, from creating pathways to opportunity and fostering a more talented workforce to promoting greater civic engagement. By investing in education, we not only empower our students, but also strengthen the fabric of our entire community. To this end, I'm here to advocate that the city increase the funding by $15 to $20 million. These additional resources are crucial for providing students with the educational opportunities and support they deserve and require to succeed. Moreover, we must recognize that achieving excellence in education goes beyond test scores. It encompasses providing students with a holistic and enriching educational experience that extends beyond core coursework. It is disturbing that Providence schools currently lack regular high-quality opportunities for enrichment in areas such as art, music, and world language. These subjects play a pivotal role in engaging students, promoting strong attendance, and supporting their overall learning and development. I urge you to consider the impact that increased investment in PPSD will have on the future of our city. By prioritizing education and adequately funding our schools, we not only fulfill our moral obligation to our students, but also lay the foundation for a thriving community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. John, is it Pape? I hope Pape. I'm sorry. I'm sure I'm butchering your last name. My apologies.
Even my sister says it differently than I do. My name's John Pape.
Pape.
150 Morris Avenue in Providence, obviously. Chairwoman Anthy, President Miller, and councilors, thank you for being here today and listening to the testimony. I personally admire members of the council and your work to make Providence a more thriving and equitable city. I'm the director of the Annenberg Institute for School Reform at Brown University, where I study education policy in Rhode Island and across the country. More importantly, I'm the parent of 3 children who attend Providence Public Schools, and I'm here today in that capacity as a parent. I have provided you with a more detailed set of testimony for the record, but I'll try to be brief here. As they say on sports radio, I'm a longtime listener to the council, but a first-time caller. This is my first time coming to testify, and I'm called to do so today because of serious concerns about the city budget. In particular, I'm quite disappointed by the systemic underfunding of Providence Public Schools. The mayor's proposed $3 million increase is a very small step in the right direction, but it is not nearly enough. The City Council should mobilize to increase funding for Providence Public Schools by $20 million. Now, $20 million sounds like a lot, but it's not close to what our schools need to provide the world-class education that we all say we want. This should be an initial investment that continues to grow in future years. Now, I've been digging into the school and city budget over the past month in some detail, and frankly, my eyes have been opened pretty wide. I'm sure you all know most of this, but I wanted to share some facts. Since 2015, a decade ago, the city funding to PPSD has increased only 6.5% total. That includes funds that pass through PPSD for charter schools. The amount for PPSD schools has fallen by about 11%. At the same time, the city budget has gone up 30%. If funding for PPSD had kept up with inflation, it would be $170 million. The budget proposal is only for $133 million. If city funding for public education had just kept pace with the rise in the city budget, it would be $163 million, an increase of more than $30 million. Now, the city will claim that this is a reality given scarce resources in the city budget, and that just doesn't ring true. Of course, budgets are tight in Providence and elsewhere, but there's clear opportunity. For example, this year tax revenues are up, and the city got $16 million in pilot payments that were supposed to be targeted primarily to increased funding for public education. Instead, I think we should be clear, the city budget simply reflects different priorities. The city has consistently found funding for other important public policy goals. I'll provide one example. The proposed budget increase for public safety is $16 million. For schools, $3 million. In the past 2 years, general fund dollars for public safety have increased $35 million. For schools, $3 million. Over the past decade, funding for police has gone up by 60%. Schools, 6.5%. Now, budgets communicate priorities. Do we value public safety this much more than public education? I want to make 3 points to conclude. First, investing in schools is not only the right thing to do, it's the smart thing to do, and I think Peter laid that out clearly. Education is the most important investment that the city can make to equalize opportunity and to promote economic mobility. Second, the research evidence is clear. Funding matters. And we are at an important moment for investment as we emerge from the pandemic. Finally, I want to comment on what I see as the flawed logic that the city and state are locked in an either-or dispute about who should fund city schools. The reality is that our students are Providence students, and our students are Rhode Island students. Any solutions need to be both and solutions. One of the most disheartening elements of the current moment is the rampant finger-pointing that results in adults blaming each other while our children suffer. We can't move forward effectively unless we do this together. We will continue to advocate, this is parents, with the state for increased funding, but the state's proposed budget does include real increases to Providence. We need support from both the city and the state. I hope allies on the City Council can stand with families to do what is right for our students. Thank you for listening and for your consideration.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Albert Frawley.
Hi, thank you. Bear with me, I've never done this before.
If you would start with your name and address, we appreciate it.
My name is Albert Frawley, and I live at 124 Messer Street in Providence. I've lived in Boston, Massachusetts. I've lived in Manhattan for 14 years. I lived in Milan, Italy, and Barcelona, Spain. I've lived in city settings for 33 years. I currently live on Messer Street in an old three-family house. I'm on the second floor. This city is the loudest city I have ever lived in. The amount of noise that comes from vehicles is absolutely amazing. It's either loud music or loud exhaust or both. It interferes with simple conversations, one-on-one, phone calls, and sleeping. I work in construction. I wake up between 5 and 6 in the morning. When a car comes through at 3:30 in the morning and wakes me up, it ruins my day. It's not a big request. I personally believe that the noise cameras can benefit the quality of life and do so without the associated problems of direct police intervention. I don't call the police over noise complaints. Generally, it's a car driving by, you know, and the noise. I was in my bedroom, which is 3 rooms back from the street, and I could Shazam the song, and I found the song, and I bought it from the car out on the road. And I bought it because it's a stupid story that I can tell. It's absolutely amazing that I wouldn't get the police directly involved in a noise complaint. It doesn't feel up to the level, especially with the problems and the tension between people and the police nowadays. These noise cameras can simply click a picture of your car. I don't know if you've been caught, but I've been caught by a traffic camera in the past, and there's really nothing you can argue about. I can't say I didn't do it. I can't say it wasn't me. It's my truck. It's me going through the light, or it's me going too fast. It would be a simple solution to a problem that affects the quality of life, not just me. There's a bunch of houses in the West Side that have the same insulation and the same leaky windows and everything that I deal with. I'm not complaining about the fire department. I'm not complaining about the sirens. I'm not complaining about the trash pickup. As I said, I've lived in city settings for 33 years. It's absolutely amazing that the regular population drives around with these. I mean, you can see speakers in the back of cars that belong in nightclubs. And I pulled up to a light, and there was a car playing music so loud, I couldn't hear the music in my car. It's a simple solution if you put these cameras up, and it will affect people's quality of life. When people like where they live, they take care of their homes. They clean up the neighborhood. They might pick up some trash on the way by. If you're frustrated and angry, you might just kick that trash to the side. I try to be a good neighbor. I try to be a good citizen of Providence. I try to make my neighborhood nice. If I make my place nice, maybe the next person might want to make their place a little nicer. How about you guys? Make it a little nicer for us. It would be a simple solution to an ever-present, overbearing problem. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. You've helped me in the past, and thank you. I don't mean to point or be rude.
Okay, we'll have Michelle Wilcox.
Good afternoon. I'm Michelle Wilcox, representing Crossroads, Rhode Island, 160 Broad Street. I am the president and interim CEO of Crossroads, and I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. Crossroads is the state's leading provider of housing and services to people experiencing homelessness. At Crossroads, our mission is to help those experiencing homelessness secure stable homes. The housing and homelessness crisis in Rhode Island is, and particularly in the capital city, is real, but it is also solvable. We need to continue investing in emergency services, and we need to continue working together to meet the immediate needs of people who are living without housing. That's why we've partnered with the city and the state to open shelter options, including a couples shelter here in Providence and our capacity at 160 Broad Street, as well as our family shelter also on Broad Street. But we also need investment in permanent housing, housing problem solving, and other support services that prevent homelessness in the first place and resolve homelessness for those who are currently relying on shelter or living in unsafe conditions on the street or in encampments. We are deeply grateful to Mayor Smiley for including a $129,350 line item in his budget proposal to help fund essential services for people experiencing homelessness. And I respectfully ask the council to preserve that investment. This modest investment will have a profound effect on and will improve and provide families and individuals across the city with a pathway to safe and affordable housing. I truly believe that we have the ability to end the state and the city's homelessness crisis. We know what strategies work. Please continue to be a part of this effort and preserve the administration's proposed funding for this important work. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Holly Parsons.
Good evening. I'm Holly Parsons. I live at 39 Creston Way. I'm here as a resident, parent, and a teacher, and I'm here to advocate for the $20 million or more, really, that our schools need, and this budget does not provide. I love living in Providence. It's an amazing city, and I would really like to stay here. But after seeing the lack of concern this budget reflects regarding our most precious resource, our students, I find it hard to justify staying. I currently work as an elementary Spanish teacher in a public school in Massachusetts, and have also worked for public, private, and charter schools in New York and California. When my husband and I started a family of our own, we handpicked Providence as a place to settle. It offered the vibe of a small city while being affordable and laid back. The reputation of the public school system scared us, but we decided to take a chance. Today, our children are in 1st and 4th grade. They are thriving, active in many extracurriculars, and love our life here. I tell friends who live elsewhere that we've found the purple unicorn of places to live. We can walk to parks and restaurants, yet can afford a single-family home with a small backyard. Our kids can get off the school bus and then freely hop around our neighborhood to friends' houses, and they come home at dinner time. Their classrooms offer diversity and challenge. With the release of the newest budget, the purple unicorn image starts to feel like a myth. It feels like all the people who doubted us, trusting the Providence public school system, have won. My husband and I want so badly to believe we made the right decision that we don't need to retreat to the bland, safe suburbs where we were raised to get a decent education for our kids. But that decision has become really hard to stand by. On a personal level, one of the people who will be let go due to lack of funding is my kids' school guidance counselor. I can't count the number of days my children have relied on her to get through their day. Last year, as a third grader, my tough, strong, smart son started expressing to us that there were some days that he just felt sad and couldn't snap out of it. We knew the importance of him being able to talk through these emotions, and we explained to him what a therapist was. He asked us to find him one. Have you ever tried to find a therapist for yourself or a family member? If you're lucky to have good insurance, many don't take it anyway, and the ones who do have a waiting list years long. This is not an okay solution for a parent of a child who needs help today. I was overjoyed when I realized that my son's school not only had a guidance counselor, but she answered my email immediately and met with my son later that day. He came home feeling instantly better that he had this outlet at school, someone who listened to him, gave him coping strategies, and set up a timeline of meetings to ensure their relationship continued. The same year, my kindergartner's teacher contacted me to say that my daughter, who had many friends and initially loved recess, suddenly started refusing to leave her teacher's side on the playground. Thankfully, the guidance counselor invited my daughter to take part in a lunch bunch. My daughter felt like a VIP getting to eat her lunch with a few other kids in the guidance counselor's office while, unbeknownst to them, they worked on social skills and problem solving. These are each only one of the many times my students have gained confidence, calm, and a feeling of safety by having the services of their beloved guidance counselor available to them at school, and who they now know will probably not be there next year due to this budget. Tomorrow, when I put my kids on the Providence school bus and then drive 20 minutes over the state line, where the school I work at employs 2 guidance counselors and full-time special teachers in music, art, wellness, library, and Spanish, will I truly believe that my children are in the right place? What are we as a city and state if not supportive of our schools, our families, our students, and our future? Please find a way to make Providence continue shining as my purple unicorn. Thank you.
Joe Sittenfeld.
Hi, I'm Joe Sittenfeld, 41 Lauriston Street. You're hearing a lot of riled up parents tonight. So thank you for letting me speak. I'm also here to advocate for increased funding for the Providence Public School District, and specifically an additional $20 million for the next school year. I've been a PPSD parent for the past 8 years. My kids and their classmates have been through a lot with the state takeover and the pandemic. But then 2 years ago, I noticed a small glimmer of hope. With federal COVID money, kids got more support. My children's elementary school got a new academic coach and a new guidance counselor. Smart, kind, wonderful additional adults arrived in the building, dedicated to helping our kids make academic improvements and process the challenges, uncertainty, and loss of living through a global pandemic. The guidance counselor, Ms. Natalise, supports children with a range of fears and worries, helps families with food insecurity, and generally is a bright and supportive force for kids and parents alike. She also happens to be a PPSD alum, meaning she truly understands our kids' experiences walking through these halls. At my child's middle school, meanwhile, they hired culture coaches, adults in the building dedicated to being mentors and positive forces in our kids' lives. I've observed the culture coaches checking in with kids in the cafeteria at lunch, high-fiving in the hallways between classes, chaperoning the school dance, and encouraging group participation. They build one-on-one relationships with kids and support them in whatever they need, from help with a dispute between classmates, to finding menstrual products, to just being a friendly face on a tough day. They support the classroom teachers and alleviate the burden on the administration, helping to make the school a stronger, happier place to be. And yet, these are the jobs that are being cut because PPSD doesn't have funding for next year. We're living in a period of sky-high anxiety and depression in our youth. You don't need to be an expert in adolescent mental health to understand that trained adults interacting with, and supporting our children on a daily basis is a good idea. I understand that budgets are tight due to COVID funding running out plus declining enrollment, but the ensuing funding cuts paired with the lack of financial support from the City of Providence and the state of Rhode Island will have deep and lasting negative effects on our children's well-being. We need more counselors, instructional coaches, mental health professionals, and interventionalists in the school, not fewer. As others have said, what's good for the schools is good for the city. Invest in our city's future by investing in our children. It's urgent you find the funding to support our city's youth. Please do better for our kids. Thank you.
Kathleen Pletcher.
Good evening. Thank you, members of the council and Chairwoman Anthony. I'm Kathleen Pletcher, founder and executive director of First Works at 235 Promenade Street, and here to speak on behalf of Mayor Smiley's budget allocation for the Department of Art, Culture, and Tourism, particularly PVD Fest. And as I listen to really powerful testimonies tonight, I also feel like I'm speaking on behalf of the arts, the Department of Art, Culture, and Tourism, of course, but the arts as a strategy and investment. First Works is 20 years old. We're known for iconic performances, education that reaches 2,000 students across Providence, and festivals. Festivals are in our DNA. And I'm here tonight in my role, our role as co-producer and founding partner of PVD Fest, and also to speak to 20 years of partnership with the Department of Art, Culture, and Tourism. That partnership started in 2004 with a $15,000 grant and a lot of investment in other kinds of resources. This year we mark 10 years of festivals in downtown Providence on the plaza. The festival is important to the city and something really unique, not just as the very visible event, but as a strategy. The signature arts festival of our creative capital, which began with incredible support that First Works and ACT secured from the National Endowment for the Arts, $375,000. The festival has over its lifetime, or over the 10 years, first as First Works Festival on the Plaza and what grew into PVD Fest, welcomed over 750,000 attendees, employed 3,500 artists. There have been 110 stages, 800 vendors, and 240 food trucks, 200 community curators and partner organizations, 45 temporary artworks, and the list goes on. We look at the festival as a propellant of urban development and economic investment that has generated $4.3 million in festival audience expenditures, as it has employed over 3,500 artists. A long-term goal for this festival is to innovate with projects that strengthen Providence's reputation and draw attendees nationally, as well as really fostering significant creative projects which capitalize on Providence's attractiveness for culturally, culinary, rich weekend getaways without the same costs we associate with Boston or with New York. First Works has a history of artistically significant projects that make the sense of belonging in Providence, gathering in Providence, and our inspiration around Providence soar, really promoting the vitality of the creative capital. The goal, as we point forward with the festival, is to create a responsive, sustainable festival. We are moving back downtown, listening and learning. Our return to Kennedy Plaza will activate downtown businesses and welcome attendees of all ages. It's a focus on creativity, culture, and community. And underneath the dazzling events and performances are far-reaching investments in our creative sector and also investments in the youth that participate through educational programs that radiate out from the weekend that you know as PVD Fest. Thank you for the support, and look forward to PVD Fest 2024. Thank you.
Thank you. Susan Moore.
Madam Chairwoman and members of the subcommittee, I'm here, I don't have
If you wouldn't mind just giving us your name and address for the record.
Sorry. Susan Moore, M-O-O-R-E, 74 Rowley Street, R-O-W-L-E-Y. I'm here in support of my local library and in support of the community libraries of Providence and all. I worry that our libraries may be in trouble, and I think they need all of the financial and moral support that we can muster. And thank you for your time.
Thank you for your testimony. Nora Barre.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Nora Barre, and I'm the Executive Director of the Downtown Providence Park Network on 30 Exchange Terrace in Providence.
Speaking right into the mic.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that. I'm here to say that investing in parks and the Culture and Tourism ACT department are really important. Mayor Smiley's budget for investing in public spaces is not just commendable, it's essential for our thriving democracy. Council's support for this budget highlights a shared understanding of important role that public spaces play in fostering community cohesion and inclusivity. These spaces are where democracy truly comes alive, serving as gathering points for people from all walks of life to come together to share ideas and build relationships, especially during such a polarized time. These parks are equalizers. They are the beating hearts of our downtown, offering free access to activities and large-scale festivals like Lumina that attracted over 300,000 people over an entire month, and PVD Fest that attracts thousands upon thousands of visitors. And so investing in city services like DPW is really crucial and important because this is the beating heart of our city. Parks appeal to everyone, regardless of age and background and income. They are great unifiers. For example, today I was walking around and just kind of saw like there was so much diversity. I heard so many languages. Refocus organization, I think, serves the elderly. There are like many elderly having lunch dates by the water, and I was like, this is adorable. So I really, really support funding the downtown parks. By investing in these shared spaces, Mayor Smiley and the council are demonstrating their commitment to creating a city where every citizen has access to the vital resources that promote social interaction, health, civic engagement, economic prosperity, and a sense of belonging. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just going to take a pause. I think we have the council president would like to say something. So sorry.
Sure, thank you. Sorry about that. If Wendy Johnson is here, I just wanted to let you know that your daughter Alyssa is here in this office, and you can find her very easily after the hearing.
Thank you. I couldn't read the handwriting. Okay. So Wendy Johnson if Wendy Johnson is here in this room, your daughter is in the council office. Oh, any Wendy Johnson here? Okay, well, if anyone knows where she is, please let her know her daughter is in the council president's office waiting for her. Okay. That's our message. So I have Oscar Vargas, counselor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Oscar Vargas. My address is 150 Dora Street. I rise here today to support the budget because one good thing that we did so far is not to raise taxes. We should applaud the mayor because of that. But it's amazing that I feel sad because we have a 45% Latino community in the whole city of Providence, and I don't see anyone from the city. I wanted to applaud to you people for coming here and do this because it's very important for the city to hear the concerns. And we are like around 7 council people that we are Latinos, and something's going on with the communication. So we're missing something big that our people, my people, the Latino community, is not getting a message to be in this so important day here, including the minority community is not here. And we need a lot of hope how we can get this city forward. First of all, we're not raising taxes, but we have a lot of concerns in this budget that we're going to be working on it very closely. And thank you for coming and have your concerns about the school department. I got kids in my school department too, and I know that we need more money in that area, but we also need how we can work it out because more than 50% out of our taxes goes to the school department. And we need to figure out how we're going to be working this to have a better service or a better communication or a better education system for our kids and our future kids. Because we need a lot of help, especially from everyone who's well educated than I am, to give us better ideas how we can do and get this city forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Counselor. Hey, Jack Rushy, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your last name.
Hi, my name's Jack Rusley, and I live in 92 Dana Street in Providence. And thank you, Chairwoman, thank you, Council people, for the opportunity to testify today. I'm here to testify in support of increasing the Providence Public School budget by $20 million now, including additional funding in the future. So just a quick background, I'm a pediatrician and a public health researcher. I specialize in adolescent health, and I've also been fortunate to work with young people in a variety of settings, including primary care, school-based health centers, residential drug treatment programs, juvenile detention facilities, inpatient psychiatric units, and also middle school classrooms where I was a middle school teacher earlier in my career. Most of my patients are PPSD students. I'm also a member of the PPSD Health Committee, and probably most importantly, I'm the parent of 2 PPSD students. I'm here today on my own behalf, and I want to share what I see are the choices that this body and the mayor has today with regard to the budget. So first choice is, does Providence increase the funding for PPSD to keep pace with inflation and its current contracts, or does it continue to keep those funding flat? The former gives teachers and building leaders the ability to provide tutoring, instructional coaches, and other evidence-based methods for enhancing learning to students, especially those with pandemic-related learning loss. The latter leads to those positions being cut, as my colleagues and fellow parents have talked about today. Those coaches leaving the district, those teachers being stretched thin, leaders increasingly stressed and stretched thin and burned out. The second choice, does Providence invest in education as its top priority, or does it invest in policing and an incarceration system as its top priority? The former leads to young people reaching their potential, being treated with respect and patience by adults who care about their well-being, and giving back to the city that provided them so many opportunities. The latter actually leads to more crime. The evidence is quite clear on this front, not less. It leads to more mental health crises, not fewer. It leads to more cops in schools, not more counselors. A third choice is, does Providence increase the funding to $20 million this year and increasing the amount in years to come, or do we keep the funding just high enough to avoid breaking the law? The former leads to a city that attracts businesses and creative leaders and families. It leads to schools that are truly excellent, with resources for the highest need students, for the students who want to engage in arts and so many other things, and for those who deserve to live and learn in healthy and safe buildings. The latter leads to continuing falling enrollment, lower tax revenue when families and businesses leave in greater numbers, and more young people sharing their crises with me and my colleagues in my office, in hospital, in my prison clinic. Please choose to support the Providence Public Schools this budget. Thank you very much for your attention and time spent working on this important issue.
Thank you very much. We are now going to, Alicia Lear. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Thank you.
Madam Chairwoman, can I?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's not a question. I just want to make a comment, if it's okay with you.
Yes, please.
Since it's been shared a few times in regarding to the public safety budget, I want to invite folks and let folks know that on the 22nd, I believe we will be reviewing the proposed FOP contract with our police department. We'll have a public hearing if anyone wants to come out and share their opinions or comments on that one. I might have to reconfirm the date, but I believe it is the 22nd at 5:30.
Thank you very much, Counselor. Let me just make sure we've got the right date. I think 15th is the public hearing, so I think the 22nd is the vote. So if anyone would like to attend the public hearing, we would welcome you to come on the 15th. Thank you. I'm sorry to keep you waiting. Please
No problem.
proceed.
My name is Alicia Lehrer, and I'm representing the Woonasquatucket River Watershed Council, located at 45 Eagle Street in Olneyville. And I wanted to thank the members of the Finance Committee for hearing me today, and I also want to especially acknowledge the members of council that serve in the wards that we serve, Council President Miller, Councilman Sanchez, and Councilman Vargas, who are here today. It's great to see you, and I love working with you all. I'm here today to speak on behalf of my organization. We have made a request to the mayor 3 times over the last year to include our Greenway program in the budget at the amount of $175,000. The mayor did not elect to include that amount into the budget this year, but I wanted to ask that the Finance Committee consider adding that into the budget. Just so you know who we are as an organization, we serve the 5 miles of the Woonasquatucket River and its greenway. We are the stewards of those spaces. More than 50,000 Providence residents live within a 10-mile walk of the greenway, and my request for funding is just a small portion of what it costs us to maintain and steward those spaces. That amount is $750,000, and to date, we have never received an allocation from the City of Providence to support us in that work that we do. We also engage over 1,000 volunteers every year to work with us on stewarding those spaces and teaching people to really love those spaces. That's worth over $100,000 in in-kind services that happen through the generosity of our residents every year. In having the Greenway and the way that we steward it I just want to give you a couple of key facts, and I won't belabor this too long because I know I've already submitted this testimony in writing, but just a couple of quick facts. So there are 75 acres of public spaces along the Woonasquatucket Greenway that we care for as an organization, 7 miles of multi-use trail for recreation, for transportation, and as an incredible wildlife corridor through the city of Providence that we improve and care for. We pick up 320 cubic yards of trash at least every year. We treat 80,000 gallons of stormwater through natural systems that improve our city's water quality every year. We host field trips in the park spaces along the Greenway for our students. We host recreational events for the public where people can just come out and enjoy a canoe ride along the Woonasquatucket River for free. We host 8 weeks of bicycle camp for mostly Providence students right on the Greenway. And as I said, $100,000 worth of time is invested by volunteers that work with us. We ask that the Finance Committee and the Council consider adding in our $175,000 request to support the work that we do and be our partner in maintaining these spaces for the city of Providence.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to ask a quick question. That's quite a, $750,000 is quite a budget. Do you receive financing from other departments within the city?
No, we do not. We did win a grant this year of $25,000 that we had to compete with others to do for trash and litter pickup in the city. So we received $25,000 from that grant.
And how do you raise the rest of your budget?
We have raised it ourselves. So we have people who invest in the Greenway, who invest in our organization, but we have also secured some federal earmarks that we've been using for the last 10 years to maintain those spaces, and those earmarks are sunsetting.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Any other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Grant Tulgarian. Let me just give you a bit of time. We have some other speakers right now. We can call up Michael Amande.
Good evening. My name is Michael Aimondi, the president of the Providence Fraternal Order of Police, 40 Sheridan Street, Providence, Rhode Island. I'm going to keep this pretty brief. I just want to thank you for allowing me to briefly touch upon the budget. We at the FOP support the budget and the provisions therein, but more directly, the funding in the public safety budget, which is necessary for us to retain the most experienced officers as well as recruiting the most qualified candidates for future academies. Over the last several years, we have seen a mass exodus of officers, not only here in Providence, but throughout the country. Right now, our department is 49% under 10 years experience. 49%. Never seen before in Providence. We're losing our most experienced officers. Mayor Smiley and his team have put together a budget we hope will soon be the City Council approved budget. The funding in the public safety budget will help us build upon the manpower in place, and in doing so will help make the city a safer place to live, work, and visit. Funding for new hires will help public safety in addressing some of the quality of life issues that were raised here today. Loud music, loud vehicles, ATVs, illegal bikes, et cetera, et cetera. It will help us work with the community services divisions that are in the city, helping with the MDIs that we deal with daily. Funding for the new hires will help address, just hold on a second, will allow the police department to add more bike officers and foot patrols in the neighborhoods, which we hope will foster better relationships with the communities we serve. So with that, we wholeheartedly support the 2025 budget. I'd like to thank Mayor Smiley, his team, and for all their time and effort put into creating the budget. I'd like to thank the City Council for their consideration and look forward to continuing to work together with our council members in a positive and community-oriented way, addressing the needs of the residents within their community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. Ferenc Crowley.
Good evening, Chairwoman Anthony, and all the honorable council members in attendance tonight. I just want to take the opportunity. My name is Ferenc Crowley. I'm the Executive Director of the Providence External Review Authority, 400 Westminster Street. And I want to take the opportunity to express our support for specifically for the creation of a quality control specialist position in the Communications Department. For those that don't know, the Communications Department, specifically this position, would be in charge of the quality control for the dispatchers. And dispatch is one of the key components to a public safety system. It is usually the first person that a person calling for assistance speaks to, and they are required to not only get the information that is necessary to respond to a call, but also to relay that information accurately and adequately to the responding professionals going to that whatever type of call it is. And while PARA does not have the jurisdiction to review complaints about dispatchers because they're civilian personnel and they are not members of the police department or the fire department, we do still receive them. And one of the things that is a recurrent complaint that we get is the customer service aspect of dispatchers and also the lack of service that results from making a call to dispatch. And so one of the things the way that manifests is the civilian dispatcher might take a call and then while they're screening that call decide that services are not necessary. This has often resulted in personnel not getting police service or fire service coming to what they think is an emergency or a required call, and then that'll turn into a complaint that will receive PARA for lack of service and a complaint against the police department or dispatch. And so one of the things that a quality control specialist would do and should do is assist in making sure that calls are taken in a consistent manner and according to the policy and the requirements that the police department specifically needs. One of the reasons we support this and why it's so important is that if dispatch misrelays information to responding officers, that can completely change the tone of the response. And so a person that is calling for assistance with a mental health condition, for example, could receive information that makes it seem like that they're a danger to other people, which would give a much heightened response by the police department and changes the tone of the way they respond, which then often results in a complaint because the way they're responding to that call was based on the information that they were given by dispatch, which was inaccurate. So quality, I think this is a good thing for the community because when you have someone that is focused solely on not only ensuring that dispatchers do a quality job in collecting the correct information and relaying it, but the other piece of it is the customer service portion. You only get one chance at a first impression. And when people call in and they're met, and I've had, by way of anecdote, members of our board who have called into dispatch to report an accident and were told in a not so nice way that they were not only not going to get service, but weren't really told on how to deal with that issue. And that's one of the things that we've dealt with internally. I have a great relationship with the Director of Communications. We've addressed these issues, but they could definitely use someone who is focused on that because by improving the quality of customer service through that medium, you would significantly improve the service that the community receives, and I think also reduce the amount of complaints that you would get. And that's something that definitely should have someone that is focused on that task specifically as their responsibility. So I support that. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Okay. I don't mind calling Mr. Crowley back if you have a question.
My only question is just confirming that this position request is in the communications budget, not yours, right?
That's correct. This is the communications, public safety communications.
And Counselor Taylor.
I have one question. Is this one person? We're hiring one person to do this?
Correct. They're looking for one person.
Okay, so how does that work when they're 24/7? So in other words, the person works from 8 to 5. I'm just throwing that out there.
Right.
And these calls come in from 5 to 8 the next day. How does that work?
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, they're recorded. So one of the things that person would be responsible for doing is reviewing calls as well. Not just, it's going to be a heavy task, but they're going to be doing training. They're going to be doing review of service, checking calls while they're working as well, but also spot checking calls that are recorded to check for quality. I mean, that's what a quality assurance person does. I don't think that having multiple people, I don't think it's meant to be a babysitting for every person that's receiving calls, but to find places where they can improve the service.
I did 20 years in communications, so I know on the
Yes.
fireside. And we had fire department members in fireside, and we also had a police officer that was on the communications police side. That was their job to review the tapes because nobody knows it better than a police officer. Evidently, we don't have a police officer in there again, and I don't even know if they still do training for communications. That's something I'll have to ask when communications come, because everybody had to be APCO certified. So everybody was trained on how to take a call, what to do, and everything. I'm not sure that's being done. Hopefully you can come to the hearing when we do the police, fire, and communications. So I will ask that question, and hopefully we'll get some answers.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, you know, I have a background in policing as well, and we were fortunate enough to have police officers do the dispatch. They know the job best. That's why they do a better job of dispatching than civilian dispatchers, and that's a different debate. But I think that's why it's so important to have someone that's trained and understands the nuance, that's reviewing and at least doing that. And since the police don't have someone there anymore, having at least somebody dedicated to that service makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, are we ready? Grant Delgarian.
She's the last one. Madam Chair? Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Pro Tem.
No, it's
Thank
all right.
you.
Is he the last one?
There's one more after that.
If I may, after the last one,
Of
I'd like
course
to
you
say a few
can.
words. Thank you.
All right. Come right up.
My leg doesn't like to be stationary for very long, and it hates sitting. It's rather stand. Is it going to stay put? Good. Okay. Grant Delgarian, 20 Exeter Street. Thank you very much for all your wonderful public service. Appreciate that. I would love the Finance Committee, as they're going through the mayor's budget, at the end of each committee meeting, after you've gone through 2 or 3 different departments in the budget, to accept the public input on those particular departments that you're considering, so that we can be a little more detailed in our commentary. Right now, I'd like to focus on, I like the way I say focus, on 3 different areas. As an environmentalist, I divide the environment into half a dozen different categories: air quality, water quality, land use and zoning, excuse me, energy, transportation, and resource recovery recycling. Land use and zoning, I spent a lot of time in land use and zoning, and I've talked to Joe Mulligan, who's head of the Department of Planning and Development. I've talked to other members of the department. I've been in constant communication with planning and development since long before any of the folks that are there now have been there. We are all saying to ourselves, not to ourselves, but all saying we have housing issues. We didn't have it, half a dozen years ago, but now we got it. And I encourage the department, and I encourage the city council to look at where we were, because where we were after World War II was a city of what? 250,000 individuals. And what happened in the ensuing decade and a half, 2 decades? we lost major segments of our population. How many folks did we lose? 100,000. We lost 40% of our population in like that. And so what I said to the department, and what I'm saying here, is in order to address what we need to do to accommodate more population, to get back close to where we were before, let's look at where we were. And so what I said was, don't look at wards, don't look at rep districts, don't look at senator districts, look at census tracts. The census tracts haven't changed. Look at the census tracts in 1950, what the population was. Look at the census tracts from 1950, what the dwelling units, number of dwelling units were, and then compare that with 1970 or compare it with now. And then we can sit down and have an informed conversation about where we were and where we are now and what we need to do. And I have specific thoughts on that, but I'll leave that for another time. But we need to do that first. I'm a firm believer the more information we have, better decisions we make. Also, I would like to know, in the last half decade, how many 2- and 3-family homes we've lost. Because my perspective is, I grew up on the second floor of a 3-family house. My perspective is that 2- and 3-family homes, someone buys it, fixes it up, rents it out, pays for the mortgage, everybody wins, no subsidy necessary. Here we are talking about subsidizing extraordinarily high housing costs, whether it's buying or renting, doesn't make any difference. They're much higher than they ought to be, than they should be, and there are things we ought to be doing to address the causes of that to get them down. I remember not that long ago, people were quote unquote underwater. We're not hearing that anymore at the moment, but my sense is that that's going to happen down the road. But we need to look at what the causes of the housing skyrocketing issue is. So that's number one, land use and zoning. Also, I'm not in favor of slicing and dicing residential zones. We have minimal house lot sizes, 50 by 100, 5,000 square foot house lot sizes. That's small. We shouldn't slice and dice any more than that. The 2-family R2 zones, we only require half that amount per square foot per dwelling unit. R3, a third of the amount. R4 was a fourth of the amount, but last year when the Department of Planning and Development came to the council with what they called technical amendments to the zoning ordinance, they included in that changes to the R4 dwelling unit requirement. And what did they change it to? They lowered it a little bit, a little bit, a little bit? No. They lowered it so much that they eliminated it. That to me is irresponsible. That's not smart planning. That is sledgehammer approach. That's not acceptable. That's land use and zoning for the time being. Excuse me. Resource recovery, recycling. I started the first state's curbside paper recycling program way back before the state finally decided to do it. The state finally decided to do it in 1986. They eased it into different cities and towns over the course of the next 3-4 years. So by 1990, finally, the entire state was doing recycling. Providence was in that last batch. We did recycling, if you remember, or some of you don't because you're young whippersnappers, but if you remember, we had green buckets and blue buckets. The green buckets were paper and cardboard. The blue buckets were for glass, metal, and plastic. But not all the plastic, only plastic in the little triangles, number 1, number 2. The others weren't recyclable. We did that through the 90s and through the aughts. And resource recovery, solid waste management, land use, every year pumps out an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper with the 39 cities and towns and what the recycling rates are, and they were not impressive. So in the middle of the teens decade, we went to what we call single stream recycling. We got these big bins. We could put all the recycling in one bin, and we didn't have to worry about what numbers were in the bottom of the underneath the plastic. We 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the main pick them all. And that was going to significantly improve the recycling rates for the cities and towns. Well, if you care to give them a call and ask them to mail you out or fax you or email the 39 cities and towns and what the recycling rates are, you will see that the needle moved how much? Didn't move at all. Every community could do better. Some communities are pathetic. What's one of the communities that's pathetic? Providence. No justification for having such a pathetic recycle rate in the city of Providence. There are specific recommendations that I have on that, which I'll share with you at another time, but there's no justification for that. That would help reduce the cost of city government because the cities and towns don't get charged for what they send in the recycle bins. They only get charged for what they send in solid waste. That's number two. Number three, transportation. We're very fortunate in the city of Providence. We get RIPTA service that serves, I read a number of years ago, 97% of the city of Providence is served by a RIPTA bus route. And how much does RIPTA contribute to the RIPTA service? Most places, MBTA, other places, have service districts where they get charged for the service. Providence gets charged zero. Providence pays nothing. The state takes up the burden of it. So Providence does nothing to pay for the service. We get the best service going. There are things that Providence could do at no cost to make that service more accessible and amenable for all of us who are served by it. So I would encourage the city to do that, and there are specific recommendations I have for that, which I'll share with you another time. The one stupid idea, even if it costs no dollars, one stupid idea is to relocate the transit hub from Kennedy Plaza to where they're halfway to the hospital. Makes no sense at all whatsoever. I'm glad that the city council is going to pass a resolution telling the state that it's an idiotic waste of time, don't do it. But there are things we can do to enhance Kennedy Plaza, make the traffic circulation around Kennedy Plaza more logical and intelligent, and other things that would enhance ridership on RIPTA, because that's what we need to do, is enhance ridership on RIPTA. Finally, George Washington Bridge. Gee, son of a gun. Down it goes, half of it. And we're talking about ever-escalating cost of replacing one bridge. What will that accomplish? It will accomplish adding one lane in each direction, because right now, and I commended DOT, Department of Transportation, when they made it currently 3 lanes in each direction and gently lowered the speed limit to 40 miles an hour, which makes sense. And so for a fraction of a mile, we have 3 lanes in each direction on the existing
Mr.
Washington Bridge.
Bulgarian, I'm so sorry. I'm just saying that if you could wrap it up, please,
Yeah.
because the bridge.
40 more seconds.
Yeah.
So we're talking about building a parallel bridge to add, what, 1 lane in each direction. Well, I would like to see an EIS, an environmental impact statement, on alternatives to doing that. And maybe another EIS, an economic impact statement to what an alternative to doing that would be. And what's my recommendation? Rail. I'll just leave that.
Thank you.
Rail. We need to do that now, because otherwise the state's going to go ahead and start spending money and without information. More information we have, better decisions we make. Thank you very much for your time.
I really appreciate it.
I look
Thank you,
forward to
Mr.
speaking with you
Bulgarian.
in the future on all these issues. Thank you. Take care.
We
All right,
have
any questions?
Susan Dorita, if she's still here. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bulgarian.
I'll be brief. Good evening, Chairwoman Anthony. My name is Susan Dorita. I live at 100 Isabella Avenue. I am here representing the Elmhurst Neighborhood Crime Watch, a group formed in 1995 with a Facebook membership of 2,128 community members. Our group encompasses Police District 6 and 7, covering several neighboring sections of the city, and I am joined in my statement on behalf of the Downtown Neighborhood Association, the Elmwood Southside Crime Watch, and the Washington Park Association groups. First, let me say that I want to acknowledge the difficult job of the dispatchers in public safety. In 2022, they handled nearly 150,000 calls for fire and police service. The 2025 proposed city budget includes a new position of Quality Control Specialist, who will fall under the Telecommunications Department. This new role, I am told, will be responsible for reviewing the call process, training methods, documentation methods, and the steps necessary to provide service through dispatch. This would be a welcome position that would hopefully increase the effectiveness of the department and overall service provided to our community. I have frequently been told of scenarios where a call is made to the police department providing information and the responding officer is expecting something different. The relaying of inaccurate information could result in an inappropriate response to the situation. For example, someone reports that children are lighting off fireworks at the house next to them, and there are about 7 children under the age of 10 with no adults present. The call gets dispatched merely as a fireworks call with no urgency for the children involved. We know this because the caller listens to the scanner app on their telephone and hears the dispatch. It has also been over an hour since their call is responded to because it is assigned a low priority incident, merely fireworks. Another example might be that there are neighbors fighting and yelling, and you know that one of the neighbors has a serious mental health issue that may contribute to the fighting. You have relayed this to the dispatcher, but the officer arrives not having a mental health liaison accompanying them. Another would be that you have had vandalism or an accident and have been told an officer will not respond, fill out a report online. It is not a well-known fact to the public that when a resident calls for service, the call is answered by a civilian, not a police department employee. They identify themselves with a number which leads one to believe it is a badge number. This is misleading to those calling who expect a level of knowledge to include police department policies. Training and communication are an important part of this oversight role. The quality control specialist could be instrumental in fostering a customer-centric environment where the caller is informed of the process and an expected response time. We hope this person will be given the resources necessary to bring additional technology to the department, such as the ability to publish call information in real time as used in several major cities that provides the caller with a dispatch and response time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I believe that's it, except for we have the pro tem who would like to address the
If that's
body.
the end, that's good. I just wanted to say a few words in reference to the budget in itself for us as a committee and a city council to consider. As I've been hearing the mayor's speech and the budget before us, I want us to consider 2 things, at least from a priority. While I recognize that the people that come forward in a public hearing from the public to talk about the issues or the budget itself, and I recognize that members of our communities may not make it up to City Hall, and that it is important for us, and we know this as City Council, that we are representing our constituency. I know from my experience in advocacy, providing advocacy, and as a legislator, now as a City Council, I often bring the voice of my constituent, and particularly when it comes to the City of Providence and in education. I recognize that the City of Providence is about 16% Hispanic, about 35% non-Hispanic, and so forth. In the school system, in the Providence public school system, we have about almost 67% that are Latino, and so forth. I think that for me, what I like us to consider at the budget, and I commend at least the mayor for putting $3 million in additional dollars, and learning through the first presentation that we had from the administration was that for the past 6 to 7 years, we haven't provided additional monies that has been level funded. I recognize that that is a small amount compared to what is needed. I do recognize that we also are trying to also advocate for the state to actually provide more money to the school system. I would appeal to my colleagues to add additional dollars to the educational budget from the city of Providence. I don't have to say why the reasons. We know what are the reasons, whether it's COVID, whether it's, the fact is that our kids are dropping out at an alarming rate, and the teachers lack the support, and just most recently, obviously due to the school deficit, there's been some disorganization within the school system where teachers and principals and assistant principals, they're all shifting all around, and some positions may come back, and some positions may not. So I advocate once again to my colleagues that we look further. One, strongly advocate at the state level to ensure that the State General Assembly provides more education to the school system. Two, for us as a city council. The second thing that I would like to highlight is the summer youth programs. It is level funded. We know that we have, a significant population of kids between the 14 years old and 17. Those opportunities, many kids I saw last year don't get the opportunity to get a summer job. So I implore our colleagues to consider that, to ensure that we can afford more opportunities for work experience for these young kids. Because we know that during the summer months, this is when our kids are at home alone, parents, single moms, and parents leave their kids at home because they figure they're 14, 15, that they could take care of themselves. At the end of the day, I think that it is a wise investment. It's economics. They teach them all the soft skills and everything else that we know. So I think it's important that we look into those two areas, and I hope that we can work on that and set it as a priority too. Thank you.
I appreciate your comments. Thank you, Pro Tem. With that, I will be closing our public hearing, and I thank you so much, everyone who's come and testified tonight.